I'm Dr. Deb Butler, and you are listening to Thinner Peace in Menopause and Beyond. This is episode number 346. Welcome to Thinner Peace in Menopause and Beyond. This is Dr. Deb Butler, Master Life and Weight Coach, and as always, your coach. If you're a woman and you're smart and you're successful and you've been struggling with weight your whole life and now menopause is making it harder than ever, and you are ready to make this the last time you ever have to go on a diet again, then this podcast is for you. Stay tuned. Well, hello, all my dear friends all over the world. We're running into Thanksgiving for those of you who have a Thanksgiving. I know all over the world you don't, but here in the U.S., we do. And we're going to be celebrating it in a little bit. And as I was thinking about what I wanted to talk to you about, I was listening to one of my most downloaded podcasts from last year around this time because I was wondering where I was at last year at this time. And you know what? That podcast was fascinating to me because there's so many things I forgot about. So I decided that I actually want to replay that podcast for you today because it was right before Thanksgiving. But I want to add a few things before you hear that podcast because I want to talk about what has changed and what is the same. So in that podcast, which I totally forgot about, a year and a half ago, some of you who've been listening to my podcast for a while know that I broke my elbow. And in that podcast, I had just gotten my cast off and I was just starting to move it. And I had so many doubts and so much pain at that time. And I tell you a little bit about that, which I totally forgot about. So just listening to myself talk about where I was at a year ago and thinking about where I'm at now, I am so grateful because I'm here a year later to tell you that my elbow is healed. And I forgot how much it hurt. And in the podcast that you're going to hear about my challenges with it, but also how I used it to help you and me understand better about how sometimes just because something is uncomfortable doesn't mean we don't do it. And the healing of my elbow was a perfect example, which I totally forgot about. So I really want you to listen to that again because it was wonderful for me to hear it again, and I think it will help you. The other thing that I was talking about that I totally forgot is that a year ago at this time, I was getting ready for my third granddaughter, or my third grandchild was just getting ready to be born. Totally forgot. It was days away. She was born on December 4th, and I think I did it on, maybe November 23rd a year ago. So she was a couple weeks away. And now my granddaughter, whose name is Azalea Deb Butler, we call her Zaylee, she is going to be a year old on December 4th. And what a difference a year makes there. Because that birth was probably the most amazing thing that ever happened to me in my entire life. And I talked about it a little bit in the podcast about what a privilege it was for me to be able to be invited to be there. But boy, I got to tell you, being there and experiencing that was something that I never expected and changed my perspective on life totally. So it was really interesting listening to that. And then I talked about one of my clients from a year ago who already had an amazing transformation, and she's done with my program. And I was talking a little bit about her and her process at the same time that I was talking about my process and my granddaughter coming. So I think it would be really amazing for you to listen to this, just in terms of where were you a year ago? And what do you have to be grateful for that either was here or wasn't here a year ago? But this is a time of gratitude, Thanksgiving, and it's also just a time of reflection. So for this podcast, please Sit back, take a walk, take a bath, whatever it is that you want to do, and listen to where I was a year ago. And then I just told you where I was now. And maybe you'll do some of the same reflection. And as always, as I say at the end of this podcast, but boy, I would never mean it more now than any other time of the year. When I talk about self compassion and I talk about being kind to yourself, whatever this week brings for you, whatever it is, please hold a space for you, for your own self compassion and your own gratitude. And no matter what, and no matter where you go, please, please, please be very, very kind to yourself and enjoy this podcast. And I'll repeat myself again at the end of that. Enjoy. Well, hello, all my dear friends today. How are you? Are you driving? Are you taking a walk with me today with your dog? Are you just laying around? I get so many letters from you, and so many of you tell me that you take walks with me, which is kind of fascinating because that's my favorite thing to do. So I'm so glad that I get to go and walk with you too. And there's another thing that I want to talk about. Well, there's a couple things that I want to tell you first, just what's going on with my elbow, because as many of you know, I fractured my elbow now. Maybe it was 10 weeks ago. I cannot believe that 10 weeks have passed already. And I am totally free to do whatever I want. I don't have any type of cast on my arm. And I got to tell you, it's challenging. It's really an experience that I'm not wishing on anybody, breaking your arm, breaking anything, and coming back. But it gives me an appreciation that I never had before about what it's like to have a body that just functions and doesn't hurt, because that's the body that I had before this. Is I really took good care of my body, and I did a lot of things that helped me stay flexible and helped me have a strong heart and just feel good in my own body because of the things that I do to take care of it. And when something happens that is not part of my plan, I can tell you it was not part of my plan. And now what I have is I have an arm that needs a lot of TLC. And what I have to do, and I think I told you this in a couple podcasts before, and I'm telling you again, because I want to remind you about what it's like to be a body whisperer, how to take care of your body. And I remember what I was telling you in that podcast was, in order for me to be the body whisperer in terms of healing my arm and my elbow, I actually have to increase the pain. That's the way that I'm going to get better. I have to stretch it, I have to work it, and it's going to hurt. And because it hurts, it tells me that I'm doing what it needs to be done for it to heal. So if all I do is not test it, not hurt it, not create pain, it will not get better. And that is, I've never experienced anything like that before. It's the opposite of the way that I've always worked with my body. And maybe it's just the opposite of the way that you work with your body too. So here's what I want to offer you, especially as we get older. All of us are getting older, no matter who's listening to this. You're getting older. Some of you are maybe as old as I am. Maybe some of you are a lot younger than I am. But whatever it is, we are aging and we are getting older, and we have lots of choices on how we want to take care of ourselves. And in a healing process, self-compassion takes on a whole new realm. At least it does for me. And I'm just passing it on to you, that sometimes I'm really hard on myself. I never thought that would be the case. But it's like, I think my arm should be better by now. I think it should be functioning perfectly. I really do. I mean, my brain, this is the thoughts that it has for me, is it's still not functioning. It's never going to function. It still hurts. And it's probably always going to be that way. That's what my brain has to offer me these days. Even though I've only had my arm free for 2.5 weeks, I believe it should be different than what it is, and it shouldn't be. And it's causing me a lot of suffering because of my mind. Because I love doing yoga. I've been doing down dogs for 30 years, and a down dog is hard for me now. And child's pose isn't as easy as it's not as childlike as it used to be. And I can get all of this back, but I have to put more attention into it. I have to make more commitments to myself to do things that hurt in order to get better. And that's what I'm doing. And I am committed to the process of healing, even though it hurts, even though my brain has so many things to offer me about gloom and doom. That's what our primal brains do, scare us, keep us in the cave. Oh, I mean, I could just not get any more range of motion in my elbow and not move it anymore. And in some ways, it would be a relief, right? But I will not get what I want if I do that. And that's for a lot of you. Sometimes the things that you think you want, even if it's like an M&M, like you think it'll make you feel better in the moment. Like for me, just not moving my elbow, doing yoga. I love doing yoga for the relaxation. Now I do yoga to help go through the pain of my arm to get it stronger. And the breathing and all of that helps. But I'm in a healing process, and yoga even takes on a different way of thinking. But I have this idea in my mind that I'm committed to this process of healing no matter what. And I want you to think of that, even if it's with eating or with food or with anything. If you make a commitment that you're willing to go through it no matter what, for me, no matter how much pain, as long as I'm smart about it, the same thing with you. Are you willing to go through an urge and want something really bad and give yourself space to feel it and allow it to go through your body without giving into it? It's challenging. And I'm bringing it up because what's going on with me right now is what's going on with you too, with all of my clients when it comes to body and food. It's all kind of the same thing. Why would I want to cause myself more pain? Why would you want to cause yourself discomfort when you can just put an M&M in your mouth? I'm saying M&Ms because I have a lot of clients that like M&Ms and use them a lot in their food journals. And not as a joy eat, but as a way of somehow supporting an emotion, making themselves feel better with M&Ms. M&Ms aren't going to make you feel better, but it will take the urge away, right? It's kind of like me laying around and not moving my elbow. Moving my elbow is what's going to help it. Not eating the M&M is what's going to help you. It's actually going to make you stronger, and it's going to make it easier for you to handle urges later on by not giving into it. For me, by not giving into the, oh, this feels good, like if I don't do anything, I actually have to do something. It doesn't feel good to make it better, but that is how I'm going to get stronger. So listen, feel free to use this philosophy that I have with my healing. Use it for whatever healing you're looking for. Sometimes discomfort leads to everything that you want. And you know the difference, because if you're going to get the result that I want is a healed elbow, and I don't want any pain. And I think this is the way to get it. And if what you want is you want freedom from food and you want to trust yourself no matter what, if that's what you want, if that's the result that you want, then eating M&Ms on urges is not the way you're going to get it, even though it's going to feel kind of good in the moment. For a moment, it would feel really good not to move my elbow ever again. But I will not get what I want, and you will not get what you want. M&Ms don't have that kind of power. You have a brain that's much more powerful, and it's the same thing with me. I have a brain that's so powerful, it can heal anything, and my elbow will heal because I am going to keep my mind managed, and I want you to manage your mind too. Okay, that's just a little bit about me, but I have to tell you something else before I even talk about my topic today. Okay, we're in countdown mode because I have a granddaughter who is coming maybe in about 2 to 4 weeks. I can't remember, the due date is December 4th. And I am very excited about this. We call her baby sister because I have 2 other grandkids and we all call her baby sister. Baby sister's coming. Baby sister's been coming for so long, they stopped asking. Because when Jessica and BJ first told them that they were pregnant and that it was going to be a baby sister, they were so excited. They thought like any day they're going to get a baby sister. And it didn't appear like that. And so they kind of lost interest, but she's coming. And so we always talk about baby sisters coming soon. And I just want you to know that with all the joys in the world that I have experienced, nothing quite compares to this. And I'm going to share with you too that I've been asked by Jessica and my son BJ to actually be there for her birth. Such an honor, I can't tell you. And I'm so excited to be there for my granddaughter's birth. And you know what? Life just keeps getting sweeter the older I get. And I want to impart that to you, that life just keeps getting sweeter. The older you get, it just keeps getting better. You can hold that thought. And with that about me, enough about me, I want to talk to you about one of my clients that I've been working with. And I was just talking to her yesterday, and she's made such an impression on me that I wanted to share a little bit about her experience with you. And I also want to use it for you to think about the holiday that's coming up in a few days. For you, if you're listening to this podcast, it comes out on Tuesday, and Thanksgiving is going to be on Thursday. So, a little bit of that too. What do you do with food in a celebration? And I'm going to bring it together with this client. So, I've been working with her maybe for about 3 weeks already. And she has had such strong aha moments that I want to share it with you because you may be a lot like her. So, when she hired me, she knows that she wants to lose weight, but she also, what she has said to me is she just wants to be able to do what she wants to do. Like she wants to make herself a priority. And she really believes that she doesn't know how to do that, can't do it, or feels guilty about doing it. And somehow that has created, she thought, some kind of connection with eating, like eating to fulfill those things because she wasn't really willing to do the things that she really wanted to do. So eating is a way of just kind of numbing it and forgetting about it, but kind of still giving yourself something. Lots of people use food as reward, and she really was no different. But let me tell you about her. One of the things that she said to me, she says, I just want you to know right now, I am a people pleaser. And I want to tell you that she really believes that with all her heart. And it became so clear as we were working in her food journals. Remember, I told you about food journals that when you keep them, they're so fascinating because they reveal so much about what's going on in your mind, almost more than what you're putting in your mouth, which is why Dr. Deb's food journals are so imperative to this process. They're not like anything you've used before. So anyway, the first week of her food journaling, we got on the phone and she was just really happy because for the first time, she just wasn't having a lot of digestive issues, only because she stopped overeating. She really just started eating at plus twos. She never realized that she was overeating. She thought she was just eating till she was full, only full was like a plus 4 or plus 5. And it wasn't that big of a tweak for her on many occasions to stop at a plus 2 and go, my gosh, actually, this feels better. This is full. So that was kind of her recognition in her first week. In her second week, she actually sent me an email and told me that as she was food journaling, she saw herself overeating more often, using foods that weren't fuel. And she said she stopped journaling and she was sending me the email to tell me that she realized that she stopped. And the email was only to tell me and to herself that she had to continue food journaling, even if she didn't like what she saw. She was talking to herself, but she was talking to me. And I would have said to her, you just got to start food journaling again, because what happens is sometimes when we are doing our food journals and we start seeing what we're doing, we don't like it and we want to stop journaling, right? And the only thing that's going to do is stop the process. If you keep food journaling, you're continuing on the process, even if you don't like what you see. And most likely, you're not going to like what you see. She didn't. That was the second. And our whole coaching call was, what do we do when we see ourselves doing something we don't like? How do we use self-compassion? How do we hold space for ourselves so we can continue to get what we want? And I'll tell you what, she really worked it out in her own mind with an email to me. By the time we got back on the phone for the second session,
She had some more food journals filled out. We started talking about them. And one of the things that was popping up a lot, and I want to tell you this because it is so amazing what happened in the third time, which was yesterday. And I'm leading you up to this. So, on the second visit, when we were talking and we were going over food journals, and I was coaching her on the places where she was going beyond plus twos, or she was using a lot of joy eating for mindless eating to try to feel better, but not really enjoying the foods. She became very clear that that's what was going on. And one of the things that came up repeatedly in these food journals that a lot of it had to do with trying to make somebody else happy. Why she was eating was trying to make somebody else happy. If it was just eating somebody else's food or somebody was offering her something. So this whole people pleasing thing popped up again in the food journals, just like it did like on our first session. And she could see it so much clearer that even to the point that she would not take a lunch break at work just because she didn't want anybody else to be overloaded with work if she took a break. She was just always worried about other people, what other people were thinking. And if you're worried about what other people are thinking all the time and how they're feeling, what that tells me and what it should tell you is that you're not focused on what pleases you and you're not giving yourself what pleases you. You're in other people's heads and there's no way you can ever know what's going on there. You think you do. You think you're a mind reader. I know. I used to think it too, but you're not. But as long as you're trying to please somebody else, you're going to have results like she does for her with food of overeating, mindlessly eating joy foods, and feeling bad about yourself. So once she saw this, which was the awakening from not doing food journals and then doing them and then getting coached on it, is that she learned so much about even wanting to stop food journaling. It was all this learning experience, and so much of why she was doing what she was doing had to do with pleasing other people. So when we got on the call yesterday, she was very pleased and very happy. And so I was asking her why. And it's like a light bulb went on off in her head about who is she pleasing. Because as long as she's in her life, and she's in her 50s, just like you, she's been doing this for a long time. And the results that she's getting is that she's not happy, but she's thinking everybody else around her, she's keeping everybody else afloat, which of course she isn't. She started recognizing all this is that she's actually not doing anything for anybody else. She's not really keeping everybody happy. She's not in control of other people's happiness or their contentedness or their peacefulness. Not her husband's, not her children's, not her friends, not her coworkers. This is what she got yesterday on this third session. Her food journals look so different. She started eating between the twos. And we talked a lot about joy eating, and I'm going to tell you this about joy eating too, because you can have as many joy eats as you want. But what I told her, what I tell my clients is that if you see a lot of joy eating on any one day of food journal entering, part of the issue is if you're trying to eat joy or find joy in your food all the time, you're being lazy because there's joy all over the place. And that's an easy one. And when I say easy, it just lights up the brain. You get this dopamine effect, and then it all goes downhill from there. As opposed to the real things that might bring joy, that might be long lasting. But your brain won't look for it if you just keep kind of creating urges, filling urges, trying to create a feeling of joy with food. A little bit of joy, tasting something that tastes delicious, bite by bite, is a lovely experience. You don't have to do it a lot, but it's a lovely experience. And you realize that you can eat whatever you want. How much do you want it? You start to experiment with all that. And as I was speaking to her about that, she started realizing all these things, but she was so happy on this call because there was less joy eating. There was more between the twos. And then she says to me, she says, this is the best. This is what I want to tell you. She quit her job. Now, things don't happen this fast all the time. But she realized that the job that she was at, she was only there because she was afraid if she left, she would leave the people with too much work to do, and she didn't want to do it. So instead of doing what she wanted to do, she wanted to stay in the job for somebody else. Now, I know a lot of you don't keep your jobs for that reason, but this is what was going on with her. And with all of the aha moments that she was having in her food journals, seeing her people pleasing ways in why she put food in her mouth, why she was doing what she was doing, even like at lunch with either with skip eating, get too hungry because she didn't want to put anybody out by leaving and eating, even though it's totally in her contract to do it. She's so worried about other people. So she's getting all of these aha moments, and her brain is actually starting to wake up a little bit and start looking at all of this as, what do you want, sweetheart? She's asking herself that instead of wondering what everybody else wants. She wants to quit her job. And so she actually talked to her boss. I mean, I didn't discuss this with her. She talked to her boss and said, listen, I'm going to leave. And at best, I'll leave as soon as you find somebody. She wants to try and do it in a kind way. It makes her feel better to do it that way. And as soon as they find somebody, she will be out the door. And she did all that. And she's telling me how excited she is because she hasn't wanted to be there for a long time. And once she got in her body and in her head about what she wanted, it was so easy for her to do it. Now, I want to tell you, she hired me to lose weight. We're food journaling. And all of a sudden, she's getting all of this power that she's feeling inside of her, is that she actually can give herself what she wants because she knows what she wants. She doesn't know what other people want all the time. She thinks she does. She's trying to please them all the time, keeping all her cups in the air and making sure they're all happy. But all of a sudden it goes, what about me? And when it was, what about me and what do I want? It was simple. It was a very exciting phone call. And I'm sharing it with you because it popped up because of eating. What you eat, why you put food in your mouth brings up what you think about yourself, why you do what you do. And what I found with her is what can happen for you too, is what's going on behind the scenes. It's not just the M&Ms. I keep saying M&Ms, you know that. But whatever it is, potato chips. It's never about that. So as we go into Thanksgiving, I really want you to think about this in terms of having company, whatever it is that you're doing or not doing. If you're feeling good, if you're feeling bad, if you're feeling lonely, if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling grateful, if you're feeling thankful, whatever it is, first know that you can manage that and you can feel any way you want. But what I want to offer you is that food is a lovely thing to enjoy, especially when you're hungry. And on Thanksgiving, there are a lot of foods. And first of all, one meal isn't going to make or break anything, but I want to challenge you to that day of Thanksgiving of eating between the twos and maybe deciding that you want to have more than one joy eat on that day and you plan it. Maybe you want to have a joy fuel meal on that day. You want to combine your fuel and you want to have a little bit of joy with it. And you eat between the twos. You enjoy every bite of whatever those joy eats are for you. And you use the fuel to fill up and you enjoy it, but you also enjoy what's going around with you. And you don't overdo it because it's not going to feel good. You just connect more into you and you use these terms of a joy fuel meal, and eating between the twos is a way of a connection. It's just my thinner piece process, but it's a way of thinking about it for you. You can do that all day on Thanksgiving. It's so much easier to say, you know what, I'm going to have 3 joy eats today or 4 joy eats, or I'm going to have whatever it is I'm going to eat, and do it when you say you're going to do it. Be mindful about it and do what you say. And don't make food be any bigger than what it is on Thanksgiving or any other day. I really challenge you to that this Thanksgiving, to become more mindful and to watch yourself like my client has learned how to do. Is what do you do that maybe doesn't help you when it comes to your emotions and eating? You can figure that out too, just by some food journaling. You don't need me all the time to tell you that, even though it is helpful. But it does bring things up if you're willing to write about it. So this is what I want you to think about as we start coming into the holiday season, is that food is just food, but certainly you can enjoy it, right? Bite by bite, fill up to a 2, combine your fuel joy meals, but see if you can do it without fogging, without going beyond a +2, or with ending up eating more joy eats than you said you were going to do just because they're there. You start becoming more mindful of what's going on. Commit to what you say you're going to do and then do it. Make it easy enough for you to be able to do it. That's part of the deal. Use these holidays, starting with Thanksgiving, to learn about that connection with yourself. Just like my client has learned how to give herself what she wants and what she needs because she matters, so do you. So, I'm never going to end a podcast without saying, first of all, I am so grateful that you've been listening to me for as many years as you have. Some of you, maybe 4 years. Maybe for some of you, this is the first time. But I am grateful that you're listening. Thank you very much. And I promise that as this holiday season goes on and we start rolling into 2022, my work will get better. My message will get stronger. And I am so grateful that you've given me the space to be able to talk to you. And as always, you know what I'm going to say, that no matter where else you go or what else you do, please, please, please be very, very kind to yourself. And I will see you next week. Bye-bye.
If you've been following my podcast and you're loving all the tools that I teach you, but you're just not sure that you can do it or apply it by yourself, then please go to drdebbutler.com/work with me. And you can find out if the program that I do and the coaching that I do will help you get to where you want to be, to learn all the tools that I teach and be able to make it a part of your life. Just go to drdebbutler.com/work with me. You can set up a free 30-minute mini session.